This is the Dog Sitter's House podcast. If you are a pet business owner, today I'm going to reveal how I have figured out how to earn six figures, well over six figures, while on average working less than 30 hours a week, taking 2 weeks of paid vacation minimum per year, and barely even market myself. Now, this might sound hyperbole. This might sound exaggerated, but I'm telling you, I've been living it now for a few years, and it is actually freedom. And this is what drives my heart and soul to come on here and do this podcast regularly, is to show other pet business owners like yourself how you can do it too. You might not be able to have it all in this world, but this is something that you can have too. Welcome back to the Dog Sitter's House podcast. I had to miss a couple of weeks in a row. It's been rough lately, you guys. We had a death in the family last September. I just lost my cat to cancer about a month and a half ago. And now my stepfather just passed away 2 weeks ago. So I do apologize. It has just been insane in the membrane around here trying to take care of the family. But let me tell you, it is because I have had the awesome fortune to bring my business to such a place that it is today, that I was able to be there for my family through all of these hardships 100% of the time, as much as I want it to be, without stressing about losing money, without stressing about upsetting customers, without canceling on customers even. I was able to not exhaust myself and focus on my family. Doing the things I'm going to discuss in today's episode, this is what it's going to give you too. So if you're not in a place in your pet business right now where if a major emergency happened that you had to be more present for, like a death in the family, then pay attention, because I want every single one of you that are listening to be able to have the peace of mind, the lack of stress, the lack of anxiety, and the lack of losing financial income that I had going through all these trials and tribulations in my life the last few months. Hopefully this helps you as much as it's helped me. If you have a pet business and you can't remember the last time you had a day off, or if you find yourself constantly overbooking yourself just in case it's going to be a slow month this time. Maybe you're feeling guilty because you don't have time for the people that you care about most in your world. Or perhaps you've gotten to the point where you're like, I don't even know if I want to do this business anymore because it has drained you so much physically, mentally, emotionally. And it never gives you financial peace in the sense that you're always stressed out because it's this cycle of feast or famine. If you identify with any of these, I promise you, you are not alone. You are not broken, and it is perfectly normal to go through these trials and tribulations. This is what every business owner goes through, especially pet business owners. Now you might be saying, yeah, but April, I have tried everything and nothing has worked. I've tried hiring people only to end up with more headaches. I've tried updating my policies and reminding my customers, but they still keep pushing the boundaries. I spent hours and hundreds of dollars on booking software system, and still I end up spending way too much of my day tending to customer service requests. Or my favorite, which I did for way too long, for too many years, is that I raised prices, but I still kept coming in too short by the end of the month, making my financial stress go through the roof and causing me to continuously get overbooked, overworked, and underpaid. So today I'm going to go through the 4 critical mistakes that I and many other pet business owners make that land you in this situation. So if you identify with any of this today, if you've tried all of these solutions only to get more stressed out, then stick with me, because today we're going to cover 4 critical mistakes that the majority of pet business owners probably make and that could cost you your pet business if you keep making them. What we're going to focus on today is an emotionally sustainable, physically sustainable, financially sustainable, and a mentally sustainable business. What you're going to learn is that you can build a business that not only serves your furry clients and their humans, but also gives you the freedom to enjoy your life beyond your business. The first critical mistake I have seen time and time again that pet business owners make is they fall into the trap of what I call the pet sitter's curse. This is like a silent sabotaging weapon that's just constantly shooting your business down and you don't even realize it. And in fact, the better you are at providing exceptional care to animals and customer care, the more susceptible you often are to possessing this curse. You'll know when this curse has taken over when your business runs you instead of you running your business. Your schedule becomes completely unpredictable, your boundaries are non-existent, and your well-being is an afterthought, if it ever is a thought. So what is the pet sitter's curse? That is the curse of never being able to say no to a client. I don't care if it is for a booking when you're already overbooked or you blocked off time for yourself that day. I don't care if it is a client asking you to discount prices or to extend your open hours or to work late, you name it. If you have trouble saying the word no, then chances are you have the pet sitter's curse. To establish an emotionally evolved pet business, you must, and hear me, you must recognize the importance and get good at setting boundaries. And a good way to do this is to take on the belief, because it's true, that setting healthy boundaries isn't selfish. It's actually essential for being able to continuously provide exceptional care. Now, the first way that you can start to establish this is to make sure you review your policies and your business hours, whatever it is that are all the details of your business, of how things operate, how people should act in certain situations, like if they're coming late, if they're coming early, if they've canceled, all that jazz. And make sure all of that is written very, very clearly. Go back to a previous podcast of mine not too many ago where I actually interviewed a lawyer, and she gave some really great tips on how to speak with a lawyer about this and word things so that your policies are very concise and clear. Not only to prevent you from being sued, but this is also very beneficial to help ensure that your policies are the decision factor, not your emotions every single time someone asks you to go outside of your boundaries. But with that said, I will say what I have found is the best, the most sufficient way to get people to follow your policies and stay within your boundaries is to actually provide a top-notch, top-dog service. You want to be the private country club versus the local YMCA. And this is because when your clients recognize that your service is out of the park, amazing, they will do everything in their power to stay on your nice list. They don't want to be that customer on the naughty list because they know that you are well sought after, that you have a wait list. You are so amazing that they could easily be kicked off of your roster if they get on the naughty list. Another way to break yourself of this pet sitter's curse is to change your identity. I have spoken in the past on previous episodes way back. In fact, I probably should do another episode on this and dive a little deeper because I spoke about the importance and the influence of your behavior based on your belief system. What you think is what your brain is going to believe, and it's going to automatically cause you to behave in certain ways that align with those beliefs, with those identities. So if you're identifying yourself as just a pet sitter or just a dog walker, then you are already undervaluing yourself. And when you undervalue yourself, when you don't see yourself as somebody who is very well needed, solving problems, doing things for people that is saving their day, saving their animals, if you don't see all of this and believe all of this, that you're more than just a pet sitter, you're somebody who brings a very valuable service that requires skill, expertise, knowledge, experience, and reliability and trust, the two most important things that are the hardest things to find these days. I don't care what industry you're hiring in. So you have to see yourself as this professional who is bringing all of this to the table instead of just a pet sitter. And when you do, your clients are going to see you that way too, which means they're not going to treat you in any kind of disrespectful way by pushing your boundaries constantly, by asking you to lift the veil on your cancellation policy because of blah, 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 right? They're going to respect the fact that you're running a business and that you're a professional and you're not just Susie Q next door watching their dog. I deep dive into this section further. If you want to download my free top 4 mistakes that pet business owners make and how to avoid them, so you can get more ideas on how to avoid them than what I can go into on today's episode, go to www.consciouspetsitter.com/ebook. I'll put the link for you in the description. But if you don't see it there, it's on the screen. So jot it down, take a screenshot, and make sure you go and download it as soon as possible. And just focus on implementing one tip at a time so that you don't get overwhelmed, because it does have a lot of information in there. But the best part is it's free, so you don't have to pay a dime. Anyway, let me get back to the pet sitter's curse. When you overcome the pet sitter's curse, you create space for intentional growth in your business. And most importantly, emotional freedom from your business. Rather than being stuck in being controlled or reactionary mode by your emotions and getting stuck in that survival mode. Okay, let's move on, shall we? The second biggest mistake that top dog CEO business owners make that can cost them their business is not being stat savvy. So what the heck is that? That means one of the biggest pitfalls that you can succumb to in your business is not knowing your numbers. All too often in this industry, it's so easy for us as the business owner to keep chasing that next booking. I remember when I first started and I'd get another booking, I'd be like, woohoo! I would celebrate every time. I'd tell my boyfriend, I'd tell my mom if I was talking to her, or my girlfriend, whatever. I would just be so happy and over the moon with every single booking, but I wasn't paying attention to how many bookings I could actually handle. And eventually that caught up to me and it started breaking me. It started putting me in that prison that I did not feel happy in. So when you know your numbers up front, when you know the maximum capacity that you can take, if you're doing in-home boarding or daycare, if you know the maximum number of dog walks or overnights or drop-ins or grooming appointments, you name it, you need to know what is the maximum capacity I can handle within a day. Now, this is going to be different for everybody. This depends on whether you have employees, whether you have maybe even family members that are helping, or if you're doing it solo. That's going to change. So you need to know for your situation, how many can you handle a day? Here's the caveat. It's not just about how many you can handle physically, time-wise, all of that. It really, pay attention, because this is a very important part to make sure you don't end up resenting your business. What you really want to make sure is that you are setting your maximum capacity for bookings at a level that makes you happy. Okay, I'm not talking about financially happy. I am not talking about ego-filled happy. I am talking about what you can handle easily enough so that it doesn't exhaust you at the end of every day, so that it doesn't overstress you, overwhelm you every single day. You want it to be so that it's at a level where you're actually enjoying what you do every single day. That is freedom in your business. Now, in my coaching or membership that I'm going to be starting here soon, I provide a calculator that is pretty intricate, you could say. It's a spreadsheet. It's just a plug and play where you can plug in your numbers, your pricing, your ideals, your employees, their pay rate, you name it. You plug in all the details, and that actually gives you the best idea as to what you need to charge based on your ideal number of bookings that you want every single day. It's perfect because it gives you that sweet spot to always keep you in balance with both your financial goals and your physical, emotional, and mental capacities. Now, what happens if you are not stat savvy? I'll tell you, this is what happens. You are unable to plan any time off or get time off with your loved ones or go on vacation and get some recharge time. In fact, you can't even factor in recharge time on a regular basis, which, hello, you're human and you need it. We all do. And I mentioned this already, sort of, kind of, but you really, what you end up doing is you're chasing dollars. You find yourself chasing dollars and constantly booking yourself until you get to the point of going, oh my God, what have I done? And you freak out because now you realize that you just overcommitted yourself and you're not even sure how you're going to physically fulfill those commitments. And then after a while of doing this, you end up feeling so exhausted that you start resenting your clients, even like the little things that your customers might do that are maybe considered a little inconsiderate or a lack of communication. And you're a firecracker that is sparking, and just one little thing can light that puppy and send you off. And that could be dangerous. Because why? Because then you could end up saying something that you don't want to say out of emotional reaction to a customer that could create the domino effect of ruining your reputation for good. And one of the other, probably the most biggest consequence of not knowing your numbers is that you end up making pricing decisions based on guesswork. Instead of knowing your numbers down to the actual profit margin and the actual cost of what it takes to run your business and the actual number of bookings that you can feasibly handle in a day while still enjoying what you do. You just take a educated guess and hope for the best. And usually you end up $1 short and a day late. Okay, I'm going to throw in a little bonus here. So I'm going to go on a little side tangent. Again, if you want to see the deep dive on it, then go to consciouspetsitter.com/ebook and download your free ebook now for all the details. But just really quick, I will cover what happens when most pet sitters or pet business owners are determining their rates and what they're doing wrong. The first thing they do wrong, I was totally guilty of it, so if you do it too, don't feel bad. But it is pricing based on your competitors, not based on all the other things I just mentioned. Number two, a lot of struggling, exhausted, juggling, I like to call pet business owners, are exhausted and burnt out because their prices are too low and they're stuck in this trading time for money mindset. They are stuck in this mindset that we were raised to be put in, really. So it's not your fault. We were raised to trade our time for money, right? To go to work, to punch a clock, to punch out of that clock. And then those 4 hours that we were there, we get paid for. We're exchanging time for money. As a pet business owner, you are not exchanging time for money. You are exchanging value for money. And until you get that belief system flipped into your brain so that it is an automatic belief that you are providing value in exchange for money instead of time, you're always going to struggle with your pricing. The third mistake a lot of people make when setting their pricing is having this fear of charging more than competitors in their area. Fear is the strongest motivator for action. So you will behave based on what you most fear unless you consciously identify it and choose to go beyond it. What I like to say is freedom is on the other side of fear. You can't get there unless you go through it. You can't go around, you can't go under, you can't go over. You can try doing everything you can to avoid that thing you most fear, but you will never get the freedom that's on the other side of it unless you bite the bullet and you just go through it. Okay, the fourth reason a lot of juggling pet business owners suffer when it comes to their pricing, I touched upon this a little bit already, is undervaluing your expertise. This is where that mindset comes in. You are not just a dog walker. You are not just a groomer. You're not just providing daycare. You are providing valuable skill sets, professionalism, reliability, trust, and beyond. Let's get that straight right now. And the fifth, and I think most important thing that I don't see the majority of pet business owners doing is creating a pricing strategy. And what do I mean by this? This is more of creating a recurring revenue system. Once you have something like this in place, it gives you so much more freedom and ability to predict your income with the prices that you set. When you can overcome these 5 mistakes when it comes to setting your pricing for your pet business, you're going to find that your business becomes a lot more physically plausible. And you start operating your business with intentionality, and it becomes a lot easier and more sustainable. Okay, so now we're done with that divergent. Let's go back to the top 4 mistakes that pet business owners make and how I was able to correct these mistakes in order to work on average less than 30 hours a week, make 6 figures a year, take 2 weeks of paid vacation, and hardly ever even market myself. And that third point is reinventing the wheel. So often I see business owners, especially pet business owners, constantly reinventing the wheel. What do I mean by this? That is when we're wearing too many hats and we keep tackling the same tasks as if we're doing it for the first time every time almost, where you'll do it differently every time, even though you know there's probably a more efficient way or that you've done it more efficiently before in the past. And you're just, you're wearing too many hats. You're like running around and you're just reactionary. And so you end up just kind of doing things however you do it in the moment without really having a system to help standardize the process or make it more replicable, or so that you can even delegate it to somebody to make it more likely that they're going to do it right. Now, when you are making this mistake of reinventing the wheel over and over again, what this leads to is complete and utter chaos. In my house, I call it the canine chaos. It also leads to inefficiency. It wastes a lot of precious time and, more importantly, a lot of precious energy. And I don't need to tell you how much energy you need for this business already. So whenever you can preserve some of it, it's a good idea. If you're reinventing the wheel constantly, you'll know this because you might find that you're exhausted from making the same decisions repeatedly. You might find that your customers are having inconsistent experiences based on your energy levels that day. You could feel like you have a monkey brain. That's what I used to call it, because I had this like mental clutter going on constantly 24/7, trying to make sure I didn't forget all of the moving parts, all of the hats that I need to put on and accomplish that day. Your marketing might feel like a constant struggle to get new clients in, to attract new people. And you might find yourself constantly feeling like you're running out of hours in the day. So, what's the solution? You have to make it mentally manageable. And there's three common denominators for businesses that run in a mentally sustainable way. When you run this way, it reduces fatigue, burnout, and helps to create constant, high value experiences for your clients. Number one, you need to replicate. Create a standard operating procedure for everything, for client onboarding, for pet care routines, for communications, for training new team members if you have any. The list goes on. Go through your day paying attention, becoming more self-aware and conscious of what it is you're doing every day, and start recording it. I don't care if it's just you're recording on the notes on your phone using the microphone. Record every single step you take. This way, you can start to implement a standard operating procedure for every process in your business. So when you do hire or when things get crazy, you can have a system that you follow every single time that is consistent and efficient. Number two, automate. Automate as much as you possibly can. Automate your payment processing, automate your invoices, automate your emails, your social media scheduling. There's plenty of platforms and tools out there that you can schedule all of your postings for your social media, and it'll automatically post it to all of your social media accounts at once for you. Automate your digital forms for customers, and on and on. Whatever you can automate, automate. Be on the lookout of what can be automated. And the third and final way to make sure your business is mentally sustainable is to delegate. Now, this is where a lot of struggling, juggling, top dog CEOs get in trouble, because it's so easy to fall into that trap, that mindset of, well, I can't hire anybody. I can't delegate this to anybody because they can't do it right. They can't do it as good as I can. I don't trust that they can handle this as well as I can. I don't trust that they'll take care of the pets as well as I can. Now, it's true, when you're a business owner, you probably are a little bit more motivated to make sure everything is done perfectly, or as close to perfect, right? We do have to watch out for that perfectionism devil that comes in. But I understand, as a business owner, we are more motivated to make sure things get done right than somebody we hire who's just, what are they doing? Trading their time for money. So when they're coming in to trade time for money to work for us, they're not as motivated to care about everything being so perfect, because it's not their business, right? They're earning you money as well as earning money themselves, but they're ultimately earning you money. And it's a whole different motivation. So you do have to come down on a few notches and be able to accept a little bit less than perfect than what you might be able to do. But on the flip side of this, those SOPs I was talking about on training people and making things repeatable is a great way to help ensure that anyone doing the job has clarity on how to do it right and do it right consistently. So, what are some tasks that you can actually delegate to somebody else? Things that I have used that have been absolutely phenomenal for me that I don't think a lot of pet business owners think about is finding somebody to do your bookkeeping. Like maybe they can do your invoices for you and all you have to do is review them and then send them out. Maybe they can keep track of your bookings for you when you just put it in on your calendar and then they see it and they update your system, whatever it is you use. Another thing is you could hire somebody to do the social media. You could hire somebody to set up the accounts to automatically post your social media to all of your channels. You can give them the raw material they need, like access to an album where they get videos and photos and maybe a Google Doc or something where you leave some cute little quotes or comments or funny things you think of as you come up with them. And then they can just create some posts or some videos on your behalf. Make sure you got a CPA. Have them do your payroll if you have employees. Have them do your taxes. Of course, I hope you are sending your taxes to a CPA because you do not want to be doing that yourself. You want to make sure that a professional is checking that out. There's just so many things that you can get creative. Again, become very conscious and self-aware of what it is that you're doing every day. And my tip is to take the things that you're not great at, that take you longer than other people who might be great at them naturally, and find people who can do those things. Do the things that you love. What this does is help set you up so that you remain in love with your business, so that you don't resent it, so that you don't hit a brick wall and you don't close up shop and go get a job. When you are able to mentally manage your business, you free up the time to work on your business, to work on the vision, the growth, because we all know what happens if you don't grow. You perish. Okay, the fourth and final mistake that a lot of pet business owners make that could cost them their business is having no predictable recurring revenue system. What is this? Pet business industry is so common for us to just go with the flow of how it's always set up everywhere else, and we just kind of copy what other businesses do, which is perfectly normal. It's not a bad thing. It's how you got to get started until you figure out what you don't know that you don't know. But what I figured out that I didn't know when I first started was that I was doing all these one-off services, right? I was like, okay, daycare, and you can book like a day here, a day there, whatever. I'm at a home daycare service, so I can't just have this open door policy, like come whenever you want, because obviously we have a maximum occupancy per day, and it's a very small maximum occupancy compared to the big warehouses, right? So we had to have some sort of resemblance of some sort of booking on specific days. That was a total nightmare. I had people texting me 9, 10 o'clock at night. Oh, I forgot. I booked my dog to go get groomed tomorrow. And I know that he was supposed to come for daycare tomorrow. Can I switch that to the next day? And I'm like, well, I already have dog walkers coming tomorrow for this number of dogs. Now that throws that off. It was just a complete and utter nightmare. So what I realized over time that the biggest issues I experienced were unpredictable schedules and unpredictable income. And so I set out to find a way to solve those problems for us in the pet business industry, because those are the two biggest problems that will have you pulling your hair out constantly if you don't resolve them in a way that works for both you and your customers. And that's when I established the recurring revenue system, or put in layman's terms, a membership. This is the real game changer, because it guarantees at least part of your income, enough that you can figure out when you go back to your numbers, you can figure out, okay, I know for sure this is what I have coming in my membership every single month. So now I know how many one-off bookings I need to book in order to hit these financial goals. You see, it makes life so much easier. It gives you that predictable income stream that now you can rely on. Now you can have a little bit more peace of mind and breathe instead of overbooking yourself constantly just to make sure you earn enough month to month. Without a predictable recurring revenue, you're going to face constant anxiety every single time you have a slower month. You're not going to be able to plan for investing your money and growing it. You're going to have challenges with scheduling your team if you have one. You almost assuredly will not be able to take time off without sacrificing income. And you're going to feel this constant pressure to continuously be booking and finding new clients all of the time. It almost becomes like this obsessive, anxious addiction. And just imagine a world where you don't have that anymore, where you don't even have to worry about finding new customers because you know from month to month how much is coming in already. This gives you a financially predictable pet business. It gives you the ability to make confident decisions in your business and the ultimate peace of mind. Okay, it looks like we are getting close to a longer episode here, so I'm going to cut it off at this point. There is a fifth bonus fifth mistake that I go over in my ebook, my free ebook. So just go to consciouspetsitter.com/ebook and figure out what that fifth bonus mistake is. This one is huge. I don't want to really give it away here because I don't have the time, but I also want you to be able to read it so that you can sit down and really take it in, because this one, it dives deep. And if you keep making this mistake, you're going to keep asking yourself why things aren't working, even though you keep trying new things. You're not getting the results that you want. You're going to wonder why that keeps happening, and it could be this mistake. So until you right this mistake, you're going to keep hitting your head up against a wall. So go get that free download today, read through it, and like I said, don't get overwhelmed. Just pick one mistake at a time that you can focus on for a week or two, and then pick another mistake, focus on that one for a week or two, and just build up these new habits, these new beliefs, these new systems over time. And I'm telling you, if you do all this, like pretty much everything to run your business as a six-figure business while working, if you want, less than 30 hours a week on average, taking paid vacations, pretty much like you can read this ebook and over time implement all of the details that I give you in it, and you won't ever even need me, really. I mean, unless you're really struggling with the inner stuff, like being a people pleaser or not knowing your own worth, and that comes up. So don't feel bad if it does. It definitely comes up. This at least will help you identify if that's something that keeps coming up for you, that you might need to dive in deeper for one-on-one coaching with, or get into my future membership for to get more assistance on. So make sure you go to consciouspetsitter.com/ebook and get the free download today. In summary, let's go over it. What we discussed today is that the 4 pillars of making a successful, sustainable pet business is to make it emotionally evolved, physically plausible, mentally manageable, and financially feasible. Because the difference between struggling or juggling and successful pet business owners isn't luck, it isn't location, or even experience. It's mindset and methodology. Remember, your ideal pet business isn't just about financial gain. It's about creating a life that is emotionally, mentally, physically, and financially sustainable. Just imagine a pet business that serves you as well as your customers instead of consuming you night and day. I hope this helps. And until next time, happy tales to you.